expand faster. It can build faster. It breaks down a lot of barriers that can delay things. But once operational, then LEO satellites also offer the opportunity for truly reliable, real-time operational connectivity that many of these projects will require.
Right.
And then finally, even for areas that have terrestrial connectivity already, what LEO constellations offer is resiliency and redundancy should there be man-made disasters like cable cuts and taking out communications, or should there be a natural disaster, which we see time and time again around the world disrupting communication.
All right. And Angela, this is a nice segue into your part of this energy conversation and a new partnership that you are about to announce.
Thank you so much, Larry. So Ignite Power is a distributed renewable infrastructure company. What we believe is that you can actually deal with energy access and internet access hand in hand across the continent, leverages like distributed infrastructure for very vast majority of the people that are left unconnected today, which is what the Mission 300 is doing. Today, Ignite is operating in 16 countries across the continent. It is this group of companies is serving 17 million people on the continent. Actually, our name as of today is Ignite Energy Access because we're now have signed an agreement to acquire the assets in Africa of Energy Access, which is really supporting our growth through joint operations across the continent. What we really believe is this is the next gen infrastructure. Of course it is more affordable. Of course it is usually way greener and cleaner. And but the most important part is like it's building a much more resilient infrastructure, which we think is the next gen that we also see even in the West being embraced to a very large extent. And at the nexus of connectivity and electricity, there's two parts of it. There's the operation part and there's the end user part. At the operation part, we couldn't do what we do, which is serving like tens of millions of people in multiple countries across the continent, which most of the heads of states were in this room today, without like entirely digitizing their operation, with leveraging AI, machine learning to do optimization of operation and building a visualization model, without having fully advanced data in order to deal with your client base and your payment base. You also need very much so to build very strong, which we've done, monitoring, reporting, and verification system, so that you expand full transparency of your work through your stakeholder, being government stakeholder or being like funding stakeholders and other investors out there. By doing that, you're really building like a resilient, transparent infrastructure for the people. But then, where you have the biggest, I would say, impact is when you really bring to those people not just electricity, but electricity together with internet.
Okay.
And they cannot go one without another.
So there has to be a productive use of that electricity.
Productive use, so it's important for farmers, it's important, but as well for households. How do you want to educate your children in their home if you neither have one of those two components? Because if you don't have electricity, you cannot charge your devices. But if you don't have internet for operating your devices, you can upload like AI agent for education, healthcare portal for information, or economic, like business model that you can operate with both internet and power. So what we've done already, and we're an Abu Dhabi-based company, with the support of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the President of the UAE, and the Zayed Sustainability Prize that, at COP28 a year ago, we already started powering schools across Africa with this bundle of solar energy to operate the routers and to operate the mobile payment splitters and everything around it, and putting them solar together with internet, and then to share with the community around them. Our goal here is to scale up that project, which has started last year, to 10,000 schools in the continent. We have the innovation, technology, and the product level. That's available. The second part of the equation is the distribution capabilities, and we build a Pan-African platform that is, again, cutting-edge technology, so we have that capabilities at Ignite. So by working together, these 10,000 schools being, now rural schools being equipped for their students with electricity and internet is feasible today. There's nothing to wait for. All we need is to have our development and government partners to be on board, to prioritize the right schools in the right countries, and move forward and just implement it. The key message of this conference, I think, for me, is that what M300 has done, which we've been big proponent of, we've been big, believer of for many years, but what M300 has done at very large scale, is really proving that both internet and power is not it's not like a discretionary need, it's not like a nice to have. It is foundational infrastructure that will unlock every single other SDG and every possible opportunity for Africa to build a brighter future.
Right.
And what M300 is doing, particularly I want to mention to its result-based finance elements, is basically really showing that fact that this is infrastructure that has to be built with private-public partnership working hand in hand. We execute, we innovate, and we have the policy and right environment coming from our partners. And then we can do like universal coverage in this way. And with our calculation, just to say that number here, we believe that with just a fraction of all the incredible announcements that have been made here, and the targets of the Vision 300 entire program, is just a fraction of that. We believe that we can, within the time frame, electrify 150 million people with distributed renewable energy solutions.
Oh, wow, that's half the target. Thank you so much. I know you got to run and head to the airport, so we will let you know. We'll let you leave as soon as you want to. Feel free. Thank you so much. And Tom, you build towers, but also you have an interesting partnership with a power utility company here in Tanzania, TANESCO, that I want to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm CEO of TANESCO Towers. We own and operate around 15,000 towers across multiple countries. And essentially we're a real estate and a power company for our customers, for the mobile operators. We provide power as a service, which means that each individual one of these sites is effectively a micro power station. And of course we need to find ways to keep the lights on 24/7 because the grid either doesn't exist there, or if it does, it might not be on all the time. But I think there's a huge crossover and symbiotic relationship between the telecoms and the power sector, that's for sure. And I think there's huge evidence, is not even a question, that if you can put power and connectivity in a location, that will massively benefit the lives, economic well-being of the people who live there. And that can cover health, education, communication in general, social media, AI, whatever you want to use. And so we're very passionate about proliferating that as far and as wide as possible. We focus on customer service excellence, which means we want to have world-class, enable world-class services and connectivity across the markets in which we operate. And actually, one of those markets is Tanzania. That's our largest market, is Tanzania. We've operated here for almost 15 years. We've invested about $750 million here over that time in furthering the digital infrastructure of the market. One of the things we've done well here is collaborated well with TANESCO, the national grid operator. And I think it could be the flag bearer of what could happen in other markets. We've had the most success with TANESCO, so thank you to TANESCO if you're in the room. And that's enabled us to connect around 800 telecom sites to the national grid over the last 5 years. And I think that's for me, that's number one on the list when I think about how the telecom sector and the power sector can collaborate. Number one is, how can the telecom infrastructure owners collaborate with the national grid, planning new rollout, identifying sites which aren't connected today where they could run lines to. Because at the end of the day, we will be their anchor customer. We're a good credit, we'll pay every month, and we'll provide that base level of revenue for the national grid provider in order to underwrite their investment in the proliferation of the grid. So I'd love to see that more happening in more markets. I think the second area, and there's three basically, that we also do is more the local and microgrid partnerships. So in a number of markets, and in fact in DRC where we operate, we've had some success here. Companies will create small local power stations using different forms of energy generation, and if we can find 5 or 10 of our sites in the local vicinity within, say, a 10-kilometre radius, they will connect up and we will again become their anchor tenant. We get a benefit because we get good quality grid power effectively, and they get a benefit. And then finally, on a micro site level, as I said before, we effectively run a micro power station on every single one of our sites. So there's opportunities to use the excess power that we generate to connect up local communities through prepaid meters and things like that. And in fact, we do provide a bunch of charging stations in some of our sites today. So I think there's a lot more that we, the industry, can do with the energy industry. And again, it's all down to having a clear strategy and clear communication.
All right, we don't want Angela to miss her flight. Please go.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. We're going to wrap up here. Thanks a lot. Thanks for staying back.